Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Welcome to all the devotees for our today's Bhakti Yoga class. Sorry, because of some network issue, we are doing today's class in Zoom. So, till now we discussed about two pastimes in the fourth canto. One pastime is about Daksha, who was an example of a devotee in the mode of ignorance. Another example also we saw about Dhruva Maharaj, the entire pastime of Dhruva Maharaj, who was considered to be an example of a devotee in the mode of passion. That means basically, with what motive they have approached Supreme Lord, with what motive they began devotional service. It is not that they remained as a devotee in the mode of ignorance, the devotee in the mode of passion, but that was their initial motive to approach Lord Vishnu and perform bhakti. So in that way we should see. So then, now from chapter 13 onwards, the third pastime will begin. This chapter will lead to eventually the activities of Prutu Maharaj. That is the third section of the fourth canto. Then it will further lead to Prachina Barhi. Then finally it will go to Parchitas. The reason is, in the previous chapter at the end, it is mentioned that Narada Muni glorified the wonderful activities and attainment of Dhruva Maharaj in the Satra of the Prachitas. So now Vidra is going to ask the question that who are these Prachitas, when and where Narada Muni spoke to them, and what are the different glories of Supreme Lord that Narada Muni had spoken to the Prachitas, in addition to glorifying the glories of Dhruva Maharaj. I want to hear that what Narada Muni had spoken to the 10 Prachitas. So that was the inquiry. In order to answer that, in the future chapters, Maitreya talks about Anga, Vena, Prutu, Prachina Barihi, Prachitas. Eventually, the last chapter talks about the meeting between the Prachitas and Narada Muni. So with that, Canto 4 ends. So today's chapter will be discussing about the descendants of Dhruva Maharaj, in which there comes King Anga, and Anga's son is Vena. So the birth of Vena is presented. In the 13th chapter, King Anga gives birth to a son called Vena by performing a wonderful sacrifice unto Lord Vishnu. Because of the evil nature of his son, that is Vena, King Anga becomes disgusted and leaves the kingdom. So this is the topic of this entire chapter. But anyway, kindly remember what is being described in this chapter. We will again refer to this in the last chapter of the last chapter. Yes, the last chapter, 31st chapter of the fourth canto. That time we will again refer back to this chapter. This chapter and the last chapter, in between couple of chapters about Parachanavari, has a special significance in relation to the speaker and hearer of the Bhagavatam. So in that way. So this chapter has got 47 verses or something like that. So they are the different subsections of the entire chapter. Vidura inquires about the Prachitas, who are they and where did Narada Muni meet them, etc. The remaining parts about the descendants of Dhruva, and then King Anga, Vena's activities which disturb Anga Maharaj. Anga Maharaj leaves behind the home, etc. So Sutta Goswami, the chapter begins with Sutta Goswami's inquiry. Nishamya Kausharavinopavarnitam Dhruvasya Vaikuntapadadirohanam Prarudhabhavo Bhagavati Yatokshage Prashtum Punastam Vidura Prachakrame.
Sutta Goswami, continuing to speak to all the rishis, headed by Shaunaka, said, After hearing Maitreya Rishi describe Dhruva Maharaj ascent to Lord Vishnu's became very much enlightened in devotional emotion, and he inquired from Maitreya as follows.
So Sudha is telling what is happening between Vidura and Maitreya. After hearing about the ascent of Dhruva Maharaj unto the abode of Lord Vishnu, that is now it is known as Dhroloka, from the great sage Maitreya, Vidura, his devotion to the Lord increasing, began to inquire from Maitreya again. Having heard the wonderful pastime of Dhruva Maharaj, Vidura did not become satisfied. He wants to hear more and more. He increased. His devotional, his desire to hear about Bhakti is increasing more and more. So in the purport, Prabhupada asked the same question. In the middle of the purport, Prabhupada says that others who are not devotees may think, how can people devote so much time simply to talks of God? For which Prabhupada says that, but devotees are never satisfied or satiated in hearing and speaking about the Supreme Personality of Godhead or about his devotees. The more they hear and talk, the more they become enthusiastic to hear. The chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra is simply the repetition of the three words Hare Krishna and Rama. But still, devotees can go on chanting this Hare Krishna mantra 24 hours a day without feeling fatigue. So, this is the glory of devotional service. There is no satiation. A real devotee wants to continue more and more, continue to hear and chant more and more untriply. So, that is the eagerness one sees in the devotee. So, then, so what did Vidura inquire? That is being said. Vidura uvacha. Kete pracheta so nama kashapatyani suvrata kashanvavaye prakyata kutra va satra masata.
Vidura inquired from Maitreya, O greatly advanced devotee, who were the Prachetas? To which family did they belong? Whose sons were they, and where did they perform the great sacrifices?
Simple, straightforward question. Oh Maitreya, who are the Prachetas? Whose sons were they? In whose family lineage did they come? Did they become famous? Where was the sacrifice performed? So, because in the previous chapter there was mentioned that Narada Muni spoke the glories of Dhruva Maharaj in the Satra of Prachetas. He spoke in 3 verses the wonderful glories of Dhruva Maharaj. So, with that background, is asking this question. In the previous chapter, it was mentioned that Narada recited some verses about Dhruva at the sacrifice of the Prachetas in 4:12:40. So now, Virdura want to know the Prachetas and their background. If they are not so glorious, why would Narada Muni speak to them? Why would Narada Muni go to them? That was a simple question. Manye Mahabhagavatam Naradam Deva Darshanam Ena Prokta Kriya Yoga Paricharya Vidiri Hare.
Vidura continued, I know that the great sage Narada is the greatest of all devotees. He has compiled the Pancharatrika procedure of devotional service and has directly made the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Yeah. What is the speciality of Narada Muni? Is mentioned here in this verse. I know Narada is a great devotee who saw the Supreme Lord in his childhood only. Of course, he sees the Supreme Lord every time, every now and then. He spoke the Pancharatra scripture concerning service to the Supreme Lord. What is the greatness of the Narada Muni? Narada Muni saw Supreme Lord in his childhood within the core of his heart in the previous life. And now Narada can see the Supreme Lord whenever he wants. And Narada is the one who talked about how to perform bhakti by teaching Narada Pancharatra. Ena Prokta Kriya Yoga Paricharya Vidir Hare. So which talks about Paricharya, how to serve the Supreme Lord step by step. That is all explained in the Narada Pancharatra. Kriya Yoga Paricharya Vidhi refers to Narada Pancharatra scripture. So in the purport, Prabhupada talks about Bhagavat Vidhi and Pancharatrika Vidhi. Bhagavat Vidhi is basically the performance of bhakti through the 9 items: Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Pad Sevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atmanivedanam. So practicing bhakti through these 9 items is called Bhagavat Vidhi. And performing bhakti by the Paricharya, by the direct deity worship, like the Sri Vaishnavas do, that is called Narada Pancharatra. That is direct Kriya Yoga means direct deity worship. So like that. So Narada Muni in his scripture known as Narada Pancharatra talks about how to make the deity, how to decorate the deity, how to bathe the deity, how to worship the deity. So all these details about deity worship are mentioned in the Narada Pancharatra.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, Mataji.
Prabhuji, is there any connection like Narad Pancharatrika? Always I have this doubt that it says Pancharatrika. So whether it has any connection with 5 nights, some worship has to be done or something like that, or why it is named so?
No, I don't know. But what I know is the Vedas teach 3 topics: Karmakanda, Jnanakanda, and Upasanakanda. Karmakanda section of the Vedas talks about how to perform Sakama Karma and Nishkama Karma Yoga. Jnanakanda section of the Vedas talk about how to perform Jnana Yoga and Ashtanga Yoga. And Upasana Kanda section of the Vedas talks about how to worship different devatas and also how to worship Lord Vishnu. So that worship of Lord Vishnu is the main essence of the Vedas. That is what we call as Bhakti. Bhakti is the main essence of Vedas in that way. So that main essence of the Vedas, which is actually Bhakti, which is the important section of the Upasana Kanda, is presented by Narada Muni as Narada Pancharatra. In generally, if you see all over India also, people consider Bhakti means deity worship, worshipping the deity. People say that I am Shiva Bhakta, I am this Bhakta, that Bhakta. Is basically the deity worship, the main activity from the norms of the outside world. So in ISKCON, we give more emphasis on chanting and hearing. But all this chanting and hearing also accompanies with the deity worship. All our activities are surround deity worship. So deity worship plays a major role, a very important, crucial part of the Bhakti. So that essence of all the Vedas, which is presented by Narada Muni, is known as Pancharatrika Vidhi. So I don't know about the Pancharatra. I heard that Lord Vishnu spoke to Narada Muni over 5 nights, and later on he compiled the scripture. That's why it is called Pancharatra, etc. But I am not sure. I have never read anywhere anything. So this is as per my understanding.
Okay, Brahma. Thank you.
So then, Vidura continues. Swadharmashila Purushair Bhagavan Yajna Purusha Ijyamano Bhaktimata Narade Neritakila.
While all the Prachetas were executing religious rituals and sacrificial ceremonies, worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead for his satisfaction, the great sage Narada described the transcendental qualities of Dhruva Maharaj.
Hare Krishna. Kirtan sound coming, a lot of Kirtan sound. Now my voice is audible?
Yes, Prabhuji. It is not that disturbing. It is coming, but manageable, means comfortable, no problem.
Okay. The Lord, who is the enjoyer of the sacrifice, worshipped by the Prachetas, who performed their duty, was pierced by was praised by the devotee Narada. So now is coming to the original point that my dear Maitreya Rishi, you mentioned that in the assembly of the Prachetas, Narada Muni glorified the wonderful deeds of Dhruva Maharaj, as well he glorified the wonderful deeds of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is Yajna Purusha, who is Swadharma Shila Purusha, So in that way. So I want to hear about what are the glories of the Supreme Lord that are spoken by Narada Muni into the Prachetas. That is the next inquiry. The Lord having been worshipped by the Prachetas who practiced their duties was then praised by Narada Muni. So all these details will be explained in the 31st chapter. How did the Prachetas worship the Supreme Lord? How did Narada Muni came to them? What did he spoke to Prachetas? The many verses that we always hear, that some of the important verses like Yata Taror Mula Nisheshanena Trippanti Saskanda Bhujopashaka. These verses are all from this chapter only. Narada Muni speaks to the Prachetas. And also Daya Sarvabhuteshu Santushta Enakenava, and then Sarvendri Opashatna Tushati Yash Janardana. This verse also comes from the same chapter. So like that, there are many verses which are generally quoted by our Bhagavad speakers are from that chapter which Narada Muni speaks to the Prachetas. Yastadevarshina tatra varnita bhagavat kata mayam susrushave brahman karsnena chashtutum arhasi.
My dear Brahmana, how did Narada Muni glorify the Supreme Personality of Godhead? And what pastimes were described in that meeting? I am very eager to hear of them. Kindly explain fully about the glorification of the Lord.
So here is saying that, oh Brahmana, you should describe fully to me, who is eager to hear, the topics of the Supreme Lord, which Narada spoke to the 10 Prachetas in the Satra. So these are the various inquiries of Vidura unto Maitreya. So Maitreya will answer all these inquiries in the 31st chapter. But in order to explain who are the Prachetas, he is going to speak all the chapters in between. Who are the Prachetas and why Narada Muni spoke to the Prachetas? That is understood if we go through all the intermediate chapters. That is the connection. Maitreya Uvacha Dhruvasya Chotkala Putra Pitari Prasthite Vanam Sarvabhauma Striyam Naichad Adi Rajasanam Pitu.
The great sage Maitreya replied, My dear Vidura, when Maharaj Dhruva departed for the forest, his son Utkala did not desire to accept the opulent throne of his father, which was meant for the ruler of all the lands of this planet.
Maitreya said, when Dhruva departed to the forest, his son Utkala did not want the throne of his father or the wealth of the whole earth. So when Dhruva departed for the forest in order to practice the vows of Vanaprastha Dharma, Vanaprastha order, so his son Utkala was supposed to become the king. But this verse said that he did not become the king. Since the Prachetas were born in the Dhruva's dynasty, the story of the Prachetas will appear in narration of Dhruva's descendants. The description of the descendants of Dhruva is for that purpose. So, Utkala was the son of Dhruva and Ila, who is the daughter of Vayu. He had a very beautiful sister also. So, Dhruva had two wives. One was Ila, other one was Brahmi. Through Ila, he begot two children, and through Brahmi also he begot two children. So, since Ila is the eldest wife, so her son supposed to become the king. That is Utkala supposed to be the king. But Utkala did not become the king. That is what is indicated here. Why he did not become king? So there is a wonderful description about the wonderful qualities of Utkala. Sajanmanopa Santatma Nissanga Samadarshana Dadarsha Loke Vitatam Atmanam Lokam Atmani.
From his very birth, Utkala was fully satisfied and unattached to the world. He was equipoised, for he could see everything resting in the super soul and the super soul present in everyone's heart.
From his very birth, Utkala was completely peaceful. Upa Shantatma. His nature is completely peaceful. without any material attachments, Nissanga. And he saw all beings as himself, Samadarshana. Vidya Vinaya Sampanne, Brahmane Kavi Astini, Sunicheva Sapakecha Pandita Samadarshana. So Samadarshana indicates that he is a completely knowledgeable person, he is a Pandita. So in that way. He saw the Lord pervading everything in the world. Dadarsha Atmanam Loke Vedadam. So Utkala saw the presence of the Supreme Lord everywhere. He is only seeing the Paramatma being present in each and every living entity. He is not seeing the people as they are. And the whole world within the Supreme Lord. And he is seeing that the entire world is a manifestation of the Supreme Lord. Entire world belongs to the Supreme Lord. And entire world is seeing within the Supreme Lord himself. So this is like that, as Bhagavad Gita 6th chapter says that Viva Pashati Mam Sarvatra Sarvamcha Mai Pashati. So this should be the vision of the yogi, perfectly knowledgeable person. They should be able to see the Lord everywhere and everything in the Lord. So this is indicated here in this particular section. So Hare Krishna, kindly note that what I am using is the free version of the Zoom. It is giving me time that in few minutes later it will disconnected. Then I will restart. So whenever it gets disconnected, request all of you to rejoin. Hare Krishna. Sorry for the discomfort. So in two more verses, the wonderful qualities of Utkala are mentioned. So why he was completely satisfied, and how he is able to see all living entities equally, and how he is able to see the Supreme Lord in everything and everyone in the Supreme Lord. So the further details are mentioned in the next couple of verses. So these are the symptoms of a Mahabhagavata. Prabhupada says in the purport. And a great devotee, as we study in Bhagavad Gita, the great Jnani and a yogi will see Paramatma in everything. Andantarastha Paramanu Chantarastham. They will be able to see Paramanu in even in every living entity, in every atom also. That is the perfection of having proper knowledge. So these other qualities are mentioned in verse number 8 and 9. Atmanam Brahma Nirvanam Pratyasthamita Vigraham Avabodha Rasaikatmyam Anandam Anusantatam Avyavachinna Yogagni Dhagda Karma Malashaya Swarupam Avarundhano Natmanonyam Tadaikshata.
By expansion, already attained liberation from the bondage of the body. This liberation is known as nirvana. He was situated in the transcendental bliss, and he continued always in that blissful existence which expanded more and more. This was possible for him by continual practice of Bhakti Yoga, which is compared to fire because it burns away all dirty material things. He was always situated in his constitutional position of self-realization, and he could not see anything else but the Supreme Lord and himself engaged in discharging devotional service.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yes, we can hear you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Shiva as Brahman. So he had complete realization of Brahman, and he is seeing all the jivas as Brahman, which was peaceful nirvanam, in a peaceful existence. As we study in Bhagavad Gita, what was that? Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma na sochati na kankshati samas sarveshu bhuteshu madbhaktim labate param. So a person who had come to Brahman platform is completely peaceful, Prasannatma. And also we study at the end of the 5th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Bhoktaram Ajnatapasam Sarvaloka Maheshwaram Suhrudam Sarvabhutanam Jnatva Mam Shanti Murchati. Jnatva Mam Shanti Murchati. Knowing this, one will attain peaceful state means they will attain perfection. They are in the Jivan Mukta platform, liberated state. That is also called as Nirvana, completely peaceful state. And devoid of any material arguments. So there are no logic and reasoning. Okay, not this, not that. That kind of arguments are not there. He is completely focused on Brahman, and he is seeing Brahman as the pure knowledge. Avabodha Rasaikatmyam. And Brahman is made up of full bliss, Ananda Matram, and is all pervading, Anusantatam. Even in Bhagavad Gita, second chapter also we read the different qualities of the soul. One of the quality of the soul is all pervading. And having burned up all contamination of karma, Dagda Karma Mala, in his heart by the continuous fire of yoga. Avyava Chinna Yogani. So in Bhagavad Gita also we study that Mamchayo Avyavicharina Bhakti Yogena Sevate Sagunan Samatitetan Brahmabhuyaya Kalpate. One can overcome the influence of the three modes of material nature by practicing Avyabhicharini Bhakti. Avyava Chinna Yogani. So basically Avyabhicharini Bhakti, unpointed, undisturbed Bhakti. So in that way. Thus, Utkalasa only the pure Jiva, Atmano Swarupam, Avarundano, and nothing else. Na Anyam Tada Ikshita. So whomsoever is seeing them only as the pure soul, without any contamination, completely experiencing bliss, without argument, pure, completely made up of knowledge, chitkana, all pervading, and having burned out all the contamination of the karma, etc. etc. Basically, he has the vision of a Uttama Bhakta. He is only seeing everyone as a pure soul. So how to come to that pure state? Prabhupada actually mentions about the first verse we recite every day morning from Chaitanya Chistashakam. Cheto Darpana Marjanam Bhava Mahadavag Nirvarpanam Shreya Chandrika Cheya Kairava Chandrika Vitranam Vidyavadu Jivanam Anandambudi Vardhanam Purna Swadanam. So like that, basically Prabhupada says that the perfection of mystic yoga is possible when one is continuously in connection with the Supreme Personality of Godhead by discharging continuous devotional service. So that is the only way by which one can experience this, one can come to this state, otherwise it is not possible. So like that. So this is the state already attained by Utkala. Utkala is already in this state. He knew the Swarupa of the Jiva as Brahman and consisting of tranquility, devoid of argument. What was that Atma? It was completely one with the essence of knowledge. It was pure knowledge. Utkala's heart had burned all contaminations of karma by the continuous fire of yoga. He was nothing except the pure Jiva. So he himself is a pure Jiva. He is seeing everyone as a pure Jiva. So that is the situation in which the Utkala is currently situated. Hare Krishna, able to follow?
Actually, Prabhuji, that what was that Atma and that thing, it is little difficult to understand.
See, basically the question is about realizing the Jiva as Brahman. He is realizing himself as Brahman. He is realizing every living entity as Brahman. Matlab basically, Aham Brahmosmi. He had come to Brahmabhuta platform. Brahmabhuta Prasannatman Asocati Nakankshit. He is seeing himself as a Brahman. He is seeing everyone as Brahman. So what is that? Brahman means Atma only, na? Whether we call it as Atma or Brahman, both are same only. So what is that Atma? What are the characteristics of that Atma? The characteristics of that Atma, whether himself or other whom he is seeing, it is completely one with the essence of knowledge. It is completely made up of knowledge. We say na Sachitananda. It is actually Chinmaya, fully made up of knowledge. It is completely, it was pure knowledge. Avabodha Rasaik Atmam. It is made up of Avabodha Rasa. Bodha means knowledge. So it is fully made up of knowledge. And then his heart is freed of all contaminations, which are generally acquired by the practice of karma. So he is not doing any karma and he has no contamination. And he saw nothing but the pure Atma everywhere. So he himself is pure. So he is able to see the pure Atma everywhere. So that is the understanding.
Okay, so he could understand himself and others as Atma, which is the pure knowledge.
Yes, yes.
The quality of that Atma is okay.
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay, thank you.
And now onwards, for the next couple of verses, we will see that the different personalities in Dhruva's family, just like Dhruva went to Dhruvaloka, all their family members also eventually they go to Dhruvaloka. Just like Dhruva had the responsibility of maintaining the entire universe on behalf of Lord Vishnu, and his family members will assist Dhruva Maharaj in the maintenance of the entire universe. How this will happen will be explained in detail in the 5th canto. When we come to 5th canto, we will discuss. But here, what all these different personalities represent is briefly presented in the notes of the purport. So in few seconds, this will get disconnected. So I request all of you to kindly rejoin through the same link.